Everybody, thanks for sticking around. The polls in New Jersey just closed. Before we get back to our guest Sam Clovis here, and with 0% reporting, it's useless to talk about. So, Doc, you've got some questions.
Yes, I do.
For Sam.
Yes,
that
aren't quite. I got questions that aren't quite as useless. These are from my brother Joe. He wanted to know this. Joe says there's a doctor he knows that's a big time liberal and a supporter of Obama and Hillary. So he wants to know, he says, can Trump articulate Hillary's specific lies and suspect dealings? Because this is why this doctor is going to be voting for Trump. So do you think Trump is going to take the low road, essentially, is what
I don't know about the low road. I think that when you run a campaign, eventually you have to give people a reason to vote for you as opposed to trying to get people to vote against someone else. And I think that's the direction we're going to go.
All right. The second question is, he wants to know, is there any way that you can get a Bernie supporter to change their vote to Trump? Are they lost souls?
No. I think that there will be a lot of crossover. I really do. I think there are a lot of people that support Bernie. I think the one thing that really bothers me about Bernie's I have a lot of respect for him because he's done something very phenomenal, and I think it's just remarkable. He has a lot of things to say about the condition of this country that I think are right on, but his solutions are arguable. I mean, we would argue the solutions. We don't argue the problems. And I think that a lot of his folks will come our way. I think that the one thing is I think that Mrs. Clinton's going to have to do is to figure out a way to roll him in somehow into what's going on, because I think there are, like a lot of Cruz people on our side, I think there are a lot of Bernie's people will be disillusioned, and I think after last night was particularly telling. The way their reaction to this AP story about her going over the top. Well,
the issue, and I have thoughts on that because I was dealing with that last night. Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't help myself. I've been nice. My smug bile, my arrogant liberal nastiness could not be contained anymore. I was starting
redundant, by the way.
Right. That's a good point. See, I always use 6 words when I could just use 2.
Yes.
I was starting. I was having a headache and sneezing and stuff. I had to just lash out at some folks, and I made a buddy of mine so mad he called me at 1:45 in the morning just to yell at me for 2. I took the call because I knew that he wouldn't leave me alone until I answered the phone, and let him yell at me for 2 hours about why I was such a jerk. What I have, and gosh, they were just furious about this. Although, if I'm a Clinton campaign person, I'm saying, how dare you say that we've just won? Now no one's going to vote for us, and it can only help Bernie.
No,
it can only help Bernie. So the fact they were so upset about this, they had it completely backwards, which seems to happen a lot with them. Yeah. But I think. You saw this in 2008. Right. Hillary had a lot of people. There were a lot of Hillary supporters that weren't going to vote for Obama. Right. They came in. I think that if Bernie wants to continue to be a relevant political voice, whether or not he's a Democrat after this, he's going to have to get in line, just like all the Republicans are, except Jeb and George, I guess. Cruz is going to come in from the cold at some point. And that's how these things sort of work. And so because my friend who's a Bernie supporter was saying, this is my prediction. Okay, we got Trump is the nominee. Hillary's going to get indicted. Joe Biden's going to come into the convention. They're all going to switch to Bernie, and Bernie is going to beat Trump by 15 points. And I said, I remember my first election. I remember how it felt to weigh in my first election too, which is he's been involved in this kind of stuff for a long time. So he got really mad when I said that. But what's your sense of the crossover appeal of folks who see Trump as this divisive, just every ist kind of thing that you could have, with a millennial generation that wants their safe spaces, their free college, their everything else?
Well, I think you may be there's certainly credence to what you're saying. I won't totally disagree with that. But I think what we've seen a tremendous number of people that it's not exactly the same people that were the Reagan Democrats, but it's close. We see a lot of people who've been disenfranchised. We see a lot of people who, frankly, we see a lot of people in minority groups that are coming to us and because they see the impact of illegal immigration in this country. They see the impact of what it's had on them. They see that the progressives have not done very much for them. I mean, look at our cities and all that. So we see a tremendous number of people that are coming out of the shadows, if you use that term, to come and vote for us. I think that the crossover is going to be pretty dramatic.
Millennials. Folks younger than me are not going to vote anyway. So, I mean, that's...
in the last couple of elections, they voted at unprecedented levels. But typically that age group votes at less than 17%.
You can't rely on
them.
Yeah.
When do you anticipate a contested Republican convention?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Because the Cruz supporters are particularly, vicious in their criticism. And from my perspective, of Trump winning, my perspective, Cruz
run a better candidate, run a better campaign.
Well, and that's what I said. But,
hallelujah.
But the problem is
I'm going to get calls on that.
That's okay.
Well, we've already said that before, and I happen to like Ted Cruz. I
do too.
But how do you think Trump is going to be able to get those people to come back into the fold? Because, the day after Cruz drops out, all I saw on my conservative feeds were everybody taking a picture, registering as independent. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Really? You're going to let the establishment win on that?
Well, that's fine. I think, nobody knows what they're going to do when they go into the booth, if they go into the booth. Yep. And that's really the issue. As they can sit at home and stamp their feet and have 4 more years or 8 more years of Barack Obama or worse.
Yeah.
So it's up to them. I mean, the choice is theirs. That's why we have voting.
You see that on the Bernie side too, and I guess and the idea. Although you did have to love Ted Cruz cannot. I think that Ted Cruz had his humility like excised from his personality when he was in high school, because what was that business of him saying, if there's a path at the convention, when he got the day after he got out, he said, well, I might come back. I mean, if there's a way forward and the convention's up for, I might come back. Good Lord.
It's to raise money.
Yeah.
Because you suspend your campaign to continue, because then you can continu to raise money to pay your bills. Yep. That's what it's about.
It's a cynical. I mean, they all do it. I don't want to bash Ted Cruz unfairly they all do it, but good Lord, he just cannot let it go.
Can we go out on a story about my voting tonight?
Oh, okay. I voted too.
Not
the show, angry about it.
You're angry that I voted?
No, I'm angry about my voting place.
Oh, all right. So I go down there. It's fairly busy for a primary election. And the gal says to the person, Republican, 4 different times. The gal says, Democrat, hands it to me. I swear. Lightning crackled, a cloud came over me. It felt like Satan himself was coalescing around me. And I was like, no, I'm a Republican. And as a ray of light through the darkness, I got handed the Republican ticket. And I felt so good and much relieved. So I don't know how people that vote Democrat can possibly go through that miasma when they're going to fill out their ballots. Because on that note, we're going to take a break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We couldn't do what we do without you. We have special guest Sam Clovis, Donald Trump's national co-chair and chief policy advisor. He'll be joining us for the last segment. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We couldn't do what we do